Hello everyone and welcome to the official patch notes for Wild Rift patch 6.2e. Apparently we skipped 6.2d for some reason. I think that might have been last week with the adventure mode changes, but now we're on to 6.2e. We're skipping ahead very rapidly through this patch. Actually, it's not too long now until 6.3, which should be pretty exciting to see what new items and new champions come out then. But we still got champion changes, we still got some item changes coming out for Wild Rift tomorrow. So let's take a look and see what's getting changed. So Urgot damage buff, I don't think this does anything at all. Honestly, I don't think Urgot has ever received a nerf in his entire life. I think Urgot has just received buff after buff after buff, and the champion just never works. Like, the champion just doesn't really suit Wild Rift, doesn't really suit the meta at the moment. The item build is pretty meh. The runes are not like great on him as well. Urgot is a champion that, to be honest with you, needs probably a rework, to be fair, to actually perform and to do well. So second ability damage buff is nice, but I still don't think the champion is going to perform. This is one of the scariest buffs that I have seen in quite some time. Viego is already a champion that, yes, you can say he has a very low win rate in China, but he's a very high skill ceiling champion. There are plenty of players in EU, plenty of high elo players in EU that I talk to that say that Viego is already completely busted. Viego is already very strong. Of course, you have the crit build as well, which received a bunch of buffs like BT, Collector, Mortal Reminder, Essence Reaver as well, of course, now being very powerful. And now we're giving Viego 4 more base AD, and we're giving him more attack speed on the third ability. Not just more attack speed, by the way, 10% more attack speed at all levels. So we're just giving him more attack speed for fun, and we're also giving him 4 AD. So his jungle clear was already pretty fast. I think it was like roughly 1 minute 30, but now it might be like 1 minute 25, 1 minute 20 with these changes. Like, the base AD is going to be insane with all of his abilities, and of course his auto attacks helping him with his jungle clear. And now his third ability now just gives him 10% attack speed for fun. This might mean that you don't actually need to go attack speed boots now. You can go for Gluttonous Greaves instead. Attack speed boots is just a lot better on Viego to help with his jungle clear, but now he gets 10% more attack speed on his third ability. Maybe we can skip it now and go for Gluttonous Greaves instead. But yeah, this is very scary. I'm expecting Viego to be one of the best, if not the best jungler out there at the moment, on top of Kha'Zix, which, spoiler alert, Kha'Zix hasn't been nerfed in this patch. So yeah, hey, who would have thought? Xin Zhao, bit of a buff to Xin Zhao. I don't think this is going to mean too much. Xin Zhao's another champion that I think is in a pretty decent spot and doesn't really need to receive a buff. But I mean, the buff is not as crazy as 4 base AD and 10% attack speed. It's just a little bit of an armor buff to help him with early game trades, trying to fight for early scuttle crabs and go for early skirmishes. And the second ability, the cooldown's going down by 1 second, and the duration now lasts for 3.5 seconds instead of 3 seconds. So you have more time to reposition, use your third ability after hitting your second ability, and the cooldown has been lowered. Armor's not really going to help you too much with jungle clear because you're already fine anyway. It's just for early skirmishes against other champions. So in general, decent buff, but I think Xin Zhao will pretty much stay in the S tier as he is. Pantheon, this is more of a lane buff, I would say, than a jungle buff. Of course, the base armor helps him a bit in the jungle, but the base magic resist, of course, to do with the laning in top lane. Armor going up by 8 is quite a lot, to be fair. Going up by 6, sorry, not by 8. And then the magic resist going up by 2. And then the movement speed you get on his third ability is now 1.5 seconds instead of 2.5 seconds instead of 1.5 seconds. So more to do with his laning phase. Of course, help him against AP champions and help him against AD champions. The armor will help him a little bit, kind of like Xin Zhao, where he gets an armor increase, so it kind of helps him a little bit in the early game. But of course, magic resist is more to do with the lane. And you get movement speed for a little bit longer as well. This movement speed actually might be quite nice, to be fair. Extra 1 second on his movement speed might be quite nice, to be fair. It might be quite nice with repositioning or trying to dodge abilities, or just staying in range to try and auto attack and try and proc things like your passive and trying to deal as much damage as possible. So this buff might be quite nice. This buff doesn't really do anything at all. Really big changes coming in for Brom as well. I've always said this about Brom, and Riot have not done anything about it. Brom has a really big identity crisis because the problem with Wild Rift is that we don't have Guardian as a rune. So the only rune choice for Brom is Glacial Augment. And the only way that you can proc Glacial Augment is with his ultimate. So we're basically taking a rune with Brom that only really works with one ability, which is really, really weak. Normally, if a normal champion were to do that, you would be completely inting. But the problem with Brom is that you don't have any other rune choice in the game. So it's either Glacial Augment or Aftershock, but Aftershock is not really good at the moment. So most of the time you go Glacial Augment. So you have to overstat Brom for him to even be decent at the moment. Of course, he's not very good against like enchanters, so enchanters kind of counter Brom quite a bit. He's really good against a lot of melee champions though. If you're against a lot of bruisers or assassins, Brom can be a really good counter. But anyway, his base health is going up by 30. This would be really nice to help him against any poke from enchanters that I was talking about, or any mages in the bot lane. Damage dealt upon reaching 4 stacks. The base damage is going up, and also it's scaling more with your champion level, which is quite nice. We deal some more damage with our passive, and also we gain more attack damage now. So it's 6 instead of 4, and it's going up, but at the champion level is times by 3 instead of times by 2.4. So we get some more damage now when we proc concussive blows, which is quite nice. Winter's Bite, the cooldown's going down by 1 second. This is a really big buff though. This is a really, really nice buff. Sometimes Brom does struggle with mana in the laning phase, especially the things with Brom is you always try and fish and fetch, I like to say. Like you're trying to fish for hitting your Winter's Bite, and you're trying to hit your Winter's Bite. If you hit it, then your AD carry can follow up and it's great. If you miss it, then it can be a really, really big problem, because losing out on like 55 mana, 65, 70 mana in the early game, it's going to be really, really costly, especially when you don't really build a lot of mana in your kit. So this going down by 15 at every single rank is really, really nice. It means you can fish more. You can actually use your first ability more, try and hit it, try and use it for maybe a little bit of poke damage, or try and use it to hopefully your AD carry can follow up afterwards. And the stand behind me is also going down by cooldown by 2 seconds at every single rank. These are some really nice buffs to Brom. Brom has been struggling, I think, a lot in the meta, especially with enchanters, of course, still being very powerful. But in general, Brom should be a good champion in the meta because of so many bruisers and so many assassins being very powerful. Brom is naturally a really, really strong peeler for the for your AD carry, but just because of the way his identity works in a moment and because of his general stats, he wasn't really that strong. But this should definitely hopefully bring him back into the meta, even if we have to run Glacial Augment as a rune. Rumble nerfs finally coming in. I feel like this is like months too late, to be honest with you. These nerfs should have come in months ago. Like Rumble has been overperforming for a long amount of time, but for some reason Riot just never wanted to touch him for some reason. I don't know why, but Flame Spitter nerfs 150, 90, 230, 270 down to 140, 180, 220 and 260. So 10 base damage nerf, and then 15 base damage nerf on the danger zone base damage, which is his passive. When he gets over a certain percentage of his passive, he then gains more. It then gains bonus damage. I believe it's above 50% of your passive, you gain bonus damage, which is also going down. And then the shield value. Thank God this is getting nerfed, by the way. His shield is so powerful. You know what should actually be nerfed is his cooldown of his second ability. When I'm playing against Rumble in the laning phase, his second ability is so fucking broken. He has like a 3 or 4 second cooldown, and you just casually get a 150 shield every few seconds. It's completely busted, this ability. I mean, thank God they're finally nerfing this ability, but honestly, I think the cooldown should be nerfed more than anything. The base shield going down by 20 in late game is actually quite nice, but in general, I think that the cooldown of this ability should be nerfed, because you can just keep spamming it over and over again. And what it does, it keeps you above the danger zone. And also you just get a, 80, 115, 150 shield for free, like every few seconds. But finally, Rumble's being nerfed. I'm really, really happy about this. He's been one of the strongest top laners for a long, long time. Ramos has always been a situational champion. Of course, he has a very high win rate in China at the moment. That's just because the meta right now is all to do with AD assassins, AD bruisers, AD carries, crit champions just being very powerful, and that just means that Ramos is going to be more powerful. You know, if it's an AP meta and a lot of AP champions are strong, then Ramos is not going to be strong. That's just kind of the way Ramos works and the way the meta works at the moment. So I don't actually think it's Ramos being too overpowered that he needs to receive a nerf. I just think it's the way the meta is kind of establishing at the moment, with so many crit champions being very, very powerful. But his attack damage is going down. This is going to hurt his jungle clear quite a bit, actually. You know, the AD going down from 58 down to 54, so it's going to help his early jungle clear. And the cooldown of his second ability is going up, and also the bonus damage is going down. So this is really going to hurt his jungle clear early on, because this is one of his main tools with trying to get early game jungle clear speed through, trying to help you with early jungle clear speed. Ramos should never be a champion that clears through jungle quickly anyway. It should be a champion that actually struggles. Normally with Ramos, like, you should just like clear 3 camps and try and look for ganks, but because jungle camps are so weak in Wild Rift, and because you get so much XP and so much gold, every champion just full clears the jungle and then just goes for ganks afterwards. But in general, this is going to hurt his jungle clear speed by quite a lot. Ashe, everyone knows my opinion on Ashe. I don't think the champion is that strong. I know she has a very high win rate in China, but I still don't think the champion's that strong. Every single time I play this champion, I swear I feel like I'm tickling enemies. Like, I'm not dealing any damage at all. Honestly, like, I don't think this champion is very good, but she's receiving a nerf. Bonus attack damage when active going down by 5% every single rank, and the enchanting crystal arrow going up by 10 seconds. This is really the only ability that I think makes Ashe very powerful right now, is that her ultimate you can get so many good picks off, and also the stun lasts a long time as well, so you can get some great picks off with your crystal arrow, and then your teammates can follow up afterwards. But outside of this, I just feel like the champion does 0 damage. You much rather play Varus instead, for example, or Corki or Zaya or Jin or anyone like that, really. Yeah, bonus attack speed going down by 5%. Shouldn't really hurt her too much. I mean, for me, she'll stay in the A tier because I just don't think she's that strong. Varus nerfs. I mean, Varus, after the buff that he received, he has been tearing up the Rift. I've been pretty much abusing Varus ever since he received his buff a few patches ago, and his AP build is absolutely disgusting. His AP / attack speed build is completely disgusting. You can actually 2v2 kill at level 2. Like, you start with your first ability, at level 2 you go for your second ability, and then you can proc the blighted stacks with your empowered first ability, and you do a stupid amount of damage with your auto attacks as well. So Varus is by far one of the strongest AD carries, and definitely needed a nerf. Base AD is definitely going to hurt him a lot in the early game. Of course, as I mentioned, you can do a lot of damage in the early game, and sometimes you can kill champions at level 2. So that's going to go down a little bit. The detonation damage is probably going down, yep, from 3.54, 4.55 to, well, basically down 0.1%, and the ability power ratio is going down by 0.003%. This basically doesn't make any difference at all. This is completely fine. The base is going down by 0.5%. I think this should be okay, to be fair. I don't think this is going to affect Varus too much. This is the main thing that's going to affect Varus, because you might not be able to take as many early game trades as what you could do before, but with your second ability being so powerful and it giving you that bonus damage anyway, it should be completely fine. And Chain of Corruption is being increased by 10 seconds at every rank. I think this is fair. I think Chain of Corruption is kind of like Enchanted Crystal Arrow, one of the main concepts for Varus and why he can be so powerful right now in the meta. But I think Varus will stay in S+ tier. I think this champion is still going to be very, very powerful. His build is not getting changed at all. His build's not getting nerfed, and one of the main reasons why he's so strong is because his build is so strong. So I think he should be completely fine. Karma shield value on the third ability. Support Karma is very, very powerful at the moment. The utility more than anything is what makes Karma so strong right now. So base shield going down, and then the mantra, the empowered version of the shield, also going down. Especially 20 shielding on the empowered mantra ability is going to be pretty scary, but yeah. Base shield going down as well. So in general, Karma is going to be a little bit weaker than what she was before, but like I said, it's more to do with her utility and her crowd control more than anything. What makes her so powerful and what makes this build so powerful, where you can go for like Harmonic Echo, Ardent Sensor, you max your third ability, and then you just give a shit ton of shielding to yourself or your entire team. Some slight Zilean nerfs. Hopefully this kills the champion, because this is my go-to ban every single time. Zilean is my go-to ban in every single one of my games. I either ban Zilean, Aatrox, or if I'm not playing Varus, I ban Varus. But this champion is just so toxic to play against. Like, the time bomb is so OP, this is so OP, and his ultimate is so OP as well. But anyway, base health regen going down, shouldn't really do too much. Base magic resist actually going down by quite a lot, which is going to be quite interesting, to be fair. This is quite interesting. I think this is mainly to do with him trying to take more poke damage, I guess, when it comes to supports. You know, if you come up against enchanter supports or maybe some AP carry supports, that he's now going to take more damage. But this is a lot of base magic resist to lose on Zilean, so he's going to be able to take a lot more poke damage now, which is quite nice. Means you can bully him a little bit more. Time bomb, the cooldown's going up by 1.5 seconds in the early game, 1 second at level 2, 0.5 seconds, but staying the same in late game. So again, hitting his early game, thank God, because his early game with his time bomb is just completely broken and it's really, really disgusting. So I'm really glad that they're nerfing that. And then the base damage is going down by 5 in the early game, but it goes down by 10, 15, and then 20 in the late game. So more nerfing the damage in the late game, which I think is completely fair. I would have liked the damage, more of a damage nerf in the early game, but that's just me. But the cooldown going down is already quite nice. And this ability as well just needs to be fucking gutted, honestly. I mean, 1.5 second cooldown is quite nice. 1.5, 1 second, 0.5, and then staying the same in late game. So again, nerfing the cooldowns in the early game is great. I feel like this champion can just spam abilities in the early game and you just become one of the strongest supports in the game. So I really like these nerfs to Zilean. I think they're really, really nice. And then the base shield is going down by 15. Oh my God. Okay, well, they're completely gutting this ability in the early game, which is great. Thank God for that. I mean, base shield value going down by 15 is great. It means that you can't spam this ability as much anymore, and also you don't get as much of a shield. Well, Zilean might not be as strong as what he is right now. Zilean might hopefully finally be getting the nerf that he needed, but I mean, his ultimate doesn't get changed, and his ultimate is still completely game changing. It's still one of the most toxic ultimates to deal with. So yeah, there's that. Aurora's first ability, bit of a bonus damage nerf, 35 to 32%. Don't think this will do too much to Aurora. I think she's completely fine. She's kind of like Viego and Lee Sin, where she's very high skill ceiling champion. If you know how to play the champion, then you can perform very well. If you know how to use her abilities and when to use her dash on her ultimate, she's great. Otherwise, she's not that great, but slight nerf. Don't think it's going to do too much. Items, Yordle Snapchat. So the mark duration of reducing the enemy's armor and magic resist is being increased, but the bonus shared gold is getting a slight nerf. Now, if I remember this correctly, this bonus gold is kind of dependent on, I believe it's just it's either random. I can't remember off the top of my head for some reason. It's either random or it depends on how many assists or how many people contribute to that kill. I'm pretty sure it's random. Like, it's normally just like 200 to 300 gold, and it's kind of just like, oh, you get a random amount of gold and then your team get a random amount of gold. I can't remember if it scales with how many of your teammates get anyway, it doesn't matter anyway. The gold is getting reduced anyway from 200 to 300 to now 200 to 240. So you get a little bit of less gold, which is kind of sad, to be fair, because one of the reasons why Yordle Snapchat is so powerful is that you can just snowball games out of control, basically, and just keep on roaming and keep on getting kills and keep sharing gold with your team. The mark duration, I don't think this does anything at all. I mean, the armor and magic resist that you reduce is like 10. Like, you reduce 10 armor and 10 magic resist from what I remember off the top of my head. So this is not really one of the main reasons why this item is so strong. It's mainly this. Like, it's mainly the bonus share gold, which makes it so powerful. So yeah, I think this item actually got weaker with this change. I don't think the mark duration really means anything. This is the main reason why it was so strong, but now this has been nerfed, so we'll have to wait and see. But like I said, in my opinion, the mark duration going up doesn't mean anything, because you're not reducing the enemy's armor and magic resist by enough to make it worthwhile. A Hex Drinker. Oh, more of our Mortius as well. Okay, so changes the Hex Drinker, more of our Mortius. The gold is going up by 100. You now have to build it with a long sword and a null magic mantle plus 200 gold. I actually prefer this build path, to be fair, though, because the problem with Hex Drinker at the moment is that you don't build any magic resist at the moment. It's just a long sword plus 600 gold. So you're basically sitting there on 600 gold with not a lot to be able to spend it on. Like, you're not actually getting any magic resist early on to help you against any AP champions. Once you upgrade to the Hex Drinker, it's great. You know, Hex Drinker is one of the best tier 2 items in the game, especially against AP champions. The gold is going up, which is completely fine. But yeah, I really like the new build path, and you're sitting on less gold now. Look at the difference. 600 gold you have to sit on before you buy Hex Drinker, and now it's only 200. So I think the build path is a lot better. A little bit more pricey, but I think that's fine. More of my Mortius. So now, okay, so the price of more of my Mortius have not changed. It's just the tier 2 item, I guess, just because of how strong the tier 2 item is. But now you can see it's Hex Drinker, which is 1.2k, another Hex Drinker, which is 1.2k, and now you only need to sit on 600 gold instead of 800 gold. So a bit of a nerf to the tier 2 item, Hex Drinker, but in general, it's going to be the same. More of our Mortius, and the build path is just the same. Now you just have to sit on less gold, which I think is quite nice. And also you can build magic resist to start things off when you're buying Hex Drinker, which means that you can get a little bit of magic resist before you buy Hex Drinker, which in my opinion is quite nice. And then Yordle's Death Stance, one of the strongest items in the game. As soon as they made it so you can reduce the damage from both AD and AP sources, it meant that Yordle's Death Stance was going to be very, very powerful. I kind of underrated this item when it first got announced. I was like, yeah, I think it'll be okay. I don't think it'll be too great, but it turned out to be one of the strongest items in the game. So the damage conversion is getting a little bit nerfed for melee champions. So it's going from 32% down to 30%. This doesn't do anything at all. This item will still be very powerful. You still build it on pretty much every single bruiser in the game. It's actually disgusting how tanky most bruisers become when you build Yordle's Death Stance, because you take reduced damage from both AD and AP sources. So it's just absolutely disgusting. This champion will be fine. And then we have finally the summer skins coming back. Some are part Yasuo, some part Seraphine. This is skin line that got delayed. It was supposed to be on day 1 with Aurora, but it got delayed because I think they wanted to update Seraphine skin, because a lot of people complained about it. But anyway, that is all the changes coming through for patch 6.2e. The scariest buff this patch is definitely Viego. I would highly recommend to play Viego next patch. I think he's going to be one of the strongest junglers to play in the meta, and I think he's going to be very, very powerful. So yeah, make sure you definitely pick up Viego. If you haven't already, give him a try today. Give him a little bit of a test, and then you'll be ready and raring to go for his changes that will come in tomorrow on Thursday. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed this rundown of the patch notes. As always, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.